Hi, everybody. This is Bryan. Today I'm talking with Victoria Spaulding-Burford, who is the Senior Director of Experience Strategy and Design at T-Mobile. Hi, Victoria.
Hi, how are you, Paul? Thank you.
I'm doing awesome today. I am basically setting up this meeting with you in this interview because we've had a lot of turmoil over the last few months, I would say, not only with the virus, but then with the murder of George Floyd and all of the street riots and things like that around systemic racism. And I've known you for many years, and as a design leader and in the community, I just wanted to reach out to you and talk with you about this. Is that okay?
That's awesome. Thank you. I appreciate you including me in the conversation.
Well, I feel like designers and design leaders have a special role to play because we not only have teams inside of our companies, but we also touch a lot of products and services that people use. Have you had many thoughts around how, as a design leader, maybe this is a time to talk to folks about this?
Absolutely. It's definitely the time to talk to people about it. Um, to your point, we do have a special, our whole discipline is around understanding, knowing, and advocating for people, right? Our users. And so, believe it or not, systemic racism does show up, right, in how we design. And we have to be particularly attentive designers around our audience, especially in today's world where customers go in and out between our various products and services. Being with T-Mobile in the wireless space, that's especially true as we have adjacencies that we play in as well in home and entertainment and banking, et cetera. But then wireless at large and your internet experience, et cetera. It's important because you don't think about it. And I'm in the marketing, our function sits in marketing today, but you don't think about it. It's in every expression of your brand, the language, the voice, the tone, the photography, the imagery. What does that look like? Uh, do people see themselves in your brand is bigger than if you have different colors in the people that you put together? What does family look like? Those are all things that we pay a special attention to as designers in general. You don't realize it until you have an issue like George Floyd's murder to bring this to the forefront for everyone. And we've had to go back as a team and talk. How inclusive are we really, both in our brand expression, our brand values? What do they mean? Who are we advertising with? Where, and that's both in social and TV and media. Um, our language that we use, even as we craft responses. Every company is doing their response to COVID and their response to racial injustice and diversity and equity and inclusion. And what does it mean? Are we actually reflecting our customer base? And, many may not realize it, but T-Mobile and the new T-Mobile has the largest customer base of African American wireless customers and also Hispanic uh, customers. Yeah, but you don't see that in our leadership. You don't see that in many of our stores. And so how do we truly embody our values internally as well as externally? And so that's something that we've had to come to terms with, even as we craft our response, our public-facing response uh, to the racial injustice that we're experiencing, what's come to the forefront. And so bringing up the conversation can be incredibly awkward. But as design leaders, myself being the senior director of this function, and also I have an integration function as well, being comfortable bringing the topic up, bringing folks together. Let's talk about this. What can we do differently? How can we connect with each other and be support for each other internally, as well as we reflect on how are we working. I had some folks in machine learning space talking about biases, even in setting up and building out machine learning paradigms in certain work environments. So very pervasive, and you have to have the conversation, even though it's uncomfortable.
Sure. And you mentioned machine learning and AI, and I think a lot of people think that's just like robots. So it's as unbiased and as machine-like as it could possibly be, but nothing could be further from the truth, because what it is a whole bunch of human stuff added up into the algorithms that then finally create the AI or the machine learning. So all those biases are not gone, they're actually completely baked in.
That is absolutely true. And you have to be very sensitive to language biases. I actually attended a talk at a Google function last year around that very issue, and how to ensure that your AI is not becoming more intelligent in a biased way. And in fact, that there's tons of study and research that shows that that can easily happen. And once it does, it's very hard to undo and relearn. And so it's important that we're taking that into consideration up front, and really being intentional about being unbiased as we're teaching our artificial intelligence systems.
And I kind of wonder about the design function too, as a leader in this area, because we've always sat with people and we've always tried to understand people as we've gone through user tests. I know I've sat with hundreds of people as they're using websites and mobile apps and stuff like that. So it seems like as a community that we're very well prepared to kind of reverse engineer what's going on and to take the perspectives apart and then to kind of reconstruct those. I mean, is that what you're seeing in terms of your team? Are they ready to move forward with these kind of things?
I think so. I think we're still doing a lot of internal processing and really doing some self-checks, if you will. Am I really as unbiased as I thought I was? Because so much of it is subconscious, and it has become, especially as we talk about white privilege and what does that mean for me? How does it change my approach now that I am more sensitive to, more educated on, or just aware, right? And so now I think right now, people that we're talking to within our organization still feel a little uncertain, right? They're still learning. And I'm really fortunate to work with an incredible set of folks, very sensitive, certainly always viewed as, or had historically viewed themselves as allies, but they're still wanting to go above and beyond to self-check and say, I wasn't even aware. And even asking, like, tell me, please, like, don't be afraid to tell me. I mean, and not that I would have been, but perhaps I might have, right? Because we do a lot of self-censor as Blacks in the workforce, especially at executive levels, right? We tend to have historically tiptoed around it a little bit so that it doesn't come across as Victoria just being Black and overly sensitive, and kind of extrapolating my personal perspective out to the universe. And so even things like, should you say African American versus Black, there's such different perspectives around that. And so recognizing that, so that now in this climate, I'm not becoming the voice of all Blacks, right? Like, so everyone wants to know though, and was I really on point with my tone, with my questioning? And, so I always am quick to say that we can't generalize. As in fact, last week I was in a conversation. I said, perhaps we should at least talk to about 10 to 12 folks, and maybe we can get to 10 to 12 Black people, and maybe we can get to some good data that we can then feel comfortable extrapolating some insights from.
Sure.
But I am just a sample of one, is what I've become. I've started saying that as well. But we don't have any African American designers on the team right now. We have some coming in as contractors, and so that's different. But in the internal employee base, not having it. We have a few other underrepresented groups, but not having any Blacks. And it's like, what do we do about that? And how do we make sure that we are inclusive designers on our integration side? I have two sides of my hat of my world. On the integration side, we don't either. And so it's like, wait, how can we really represent our customer base if we don't have that diversity within our practice?
Sure. Thank you very much for talking with me today. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for bringing us to the table to have these uncomfortable conversations that really help move us forward as a discipline.